Godlike.
What is up, guys? This is Godlike Matt, and this is the first episode that I'm posting after completing my first playthrough. However, hopefully you guys didn't turn off annotations in my last video, because I actually didn't get to mention this in the video, mostly because I forgot. But I put a few annotations, and hopefully you guys saw them. To not start New Game Plus yet, that's very important. Well, I mean, it won't ruin your file if you do, but it's definitely a hell of a lot easier to go through what I'm about to show you that you kind of do have to go through. It's much easier on the first playthrough, and if you're in New Game Plus, it's going to be a lot more of a pain in the ass, but it won't be the end of the world if you guys went to New Game Plus already. You're not screwed, but, you know, it's definitely going to make things harder on you, so hopefully you didn't do that yet. But anyways, now I'm going to cover a few things. Firstly, I'm going to cover what I didn't cover in the last episode, which is the last thing that you guys should be doing before getting into New Game Plus. And then after that, in this episode, I'm going to cover basically everything I missed. So I'm going to cover Sirris of the Sunless Realms side quest to get her ring, which I missed because I joined Rosarias' Fingers, which cancels out Sirris' questline. And I'm also going to show you all the Covenant items that need to be farmed in order to get all the rings from the Covenants and the spells. So I'm going to show you all that. And then we're going to jump into New Game Plus, and I'm going to start showing you the locations of the +1 rings. So without further ado, let's begin. So the first thing I'm going to cover is the Covenants and the Covenant items and what you need in order to rank up the Covenants in order to get the items you need for the Platinum, aka rings, spells, whatever. There's a few Covenant items. There's a unique Covenant item for each Covenant. For example, Human Dregs is for Aldrich the Faithful. Proof of Concord Caps is for the Dark Moon Covenant. Sunlight Medals are for the Warriors of Sunlight, and so on and so forth. There's an item for each Covenant. That in order you need them to rank up said Covenant. But now there's two ways to get every one of these items. You can either get them in offline mode, or you can get them through Covenant means via online gameplay. And most of the Covenants in the game, if not all, are involved in multiplayer in some way, and they always involve something to do with invasions. The only one that doesn't is the Warriors of Sunlight. They are strictly co-op. But most, or if not all, the other Covenants have to do with invasions and defeating other players in PvP combat. Now, understandably, a lot of people aren't comfortable with this. There are some people who don't want anything to do with multiplayer or PvP at all and would just rather play the game strictly offline mode to just enjoy the game for what it is. And for all intents and purposes, I decided to do actually a mix, if I'm going to be honest, but mostly offline content, and I'm going to be covering all the offline methods of how to get these items, because sometimes PvP can be a pain in the ass, and sometimes it doesn't even work. Sometimes the multiplayer is just broken. For example, the Dark Moon Covenant is broken currently, and I don't know when the Dark Souls creators are going to fix it or put a patch, but it's broken. It takes several hours just to get summoned into one person's game sometimes, and it's just completely ridiculous. It's not consistent at all, and it's not a very good way. It's not a very efficient way to get the Proof of Concord Caps. But so that being said, you're going to want to know the offline ways to get all this stuff, which I'm going to be covering. But before we do that, I'm going to show you guys a really good build. Actually, you kind of have to do this because it's near impossible to get these items without this build. But there's a drop rate build where you can wear a specific set of items, and if you're wearing them all, your drop rate increases tenfold and makes getting these items a hell of a lot easier. So allow me to show you what that build is. So now that we've covered how we're going to get these items, this is the special build that you guys are going to need to do in order to get these items a lot easier. So the Crystal Sage's Rapier is the first item that you're going to need. This item actually increases your drop rate by 50. And as long as you have it equipped, you don't need to worry about it not working. Like, as long as it's in one of your hands, as you can see, I just showed you, your item discovery goes up as long as it's in one of your hands, and you can two-hand your main weapon and have it in your left hand, and it still counts towards the drop rate. So the Crystal Sage's Rapier is made by using the Crystal Sage's Soul, if you're wondering how to get that. The Covetous Serpent Ring, obviously, because it increases item discovery as well. As you can see, now we're at 207. The next item is the Symbol of Avarice. This is actually a rare drop from the Mimics, but it helps a shitload because it gives you 100 extra item discovery. It also makes your health gradually decrease while you're wearing it, so just keep in mind that that's happening. And yes, it can kill you if you let it drop all the way down, so just always be mindful of your health when you're grinding. And the last items are the Rusted Coins. The Rusted Coins are hella useful for this because they increase your drop rate by 50, and the Rusted Gold Coins increase it by an extra 100, so... However, the gold coins are finite, whereas the rusted coins you can always buy from Patches the Hyena, so it's a really good idea to keep him alive if you, like, just, you know, that's a heads up to not kill him. I know a lot of people will be tempted to do that because he's a fucking bitch. Understandably so. I'd love to kill him as well, but he's actually incredibly useful for the platinum. He even sells his own ring that you can only get from him, and he sells an infinite amount of rusted coins, which are incredibly useful for what we're doing right here. So, yeah, probably shouldn't kill him. Now that we've covered the drop rate build, the first covenant I want to start talking about is the Darkmoon Covenant. Now, this covenant's a real prick, because as I was saying a little bit about before, this covenant's online method of getting proof of Concord Keps is a little broken, it's very inconsistent, it's very difficult to get these items through online means. That being said, a lot of people are using the offline method, and the offline method is no fun either. It is awful. It's a very long grind. This actually took me 2 days of several hours playing straight to get this all done, and it was one of the most tedious things I've ever done in my gaming career, but it's for the platinum, so I had to do it. But yeah, just to warn you guys, it's not fun at all. The 3 Silver Knights, there's 3 Silver Knights in front of Anor Londo. As soon as you get there, the first bonfire, you'll see the words pop up, Anor Londo, as soon as you get to the area, and there's 3 Silver Knights. And in this area, these are the enemies that drop the Proof of Concord Kept, which is the Covenant item that you need to rank up the Darkmoon Covenant. Now, these items have a very low drop rate, and this is why you really need this drop rate build in order for them to drop at all. Otherwise, you'd pretty much never see them ever. But they also have a very low drop rate, so it's pretty hard to get them regardless. Like I said, this is going to take several hours, guaranteed, to get all 30 Proof of Concord Keps. However, this is a notable fact that you guys might want to keep in mind. Every playthrough, you can get 2 Proof of Concord Keps through offline means. There are 2 Proof of Concord Keps per playthrough that you can loot from, like, the game. Like, the in-game loot, where you just find loot on random bodies and shit. You can get 2 Proof of Concord Keps per playthrough. And in order to platinum the game, you have to play the game 3 times. Like, guaranteed. You have to get to New Game Plus Plus anyway to get all the rings. So, that being said, keeping that in mind, you can loot 2 in the first playthrough, 2 in New Game Plus, and 2 in New Game Plus Plus. So that's 6 right there through offline means that you just get for free. And the rest, you have to farm 24 off of the Silver Knights minimum. And when you rank up the Darkmoon Covenant to rank 10, with 10 Proof of Concord Keps, you'll get the Darkmoon Ring. And then you need to get it to rank 3 using 30 Proof of Concord Keps to get the Darkmoon Blade Miracle. And that's everything you need through this covenant, and this is how you do it. Prepare for a long-ass grind. Now, for the Aldrich the Faithful Covenant, in order to rank up this covenant, you need Human Dregs. And if you give this covenant 10 Human Dregs, you only need to get it to rank 1. You will get I forgot what the spell is called. It's like Deep soul or something. Something deep soul. Anyways, it's a spell, so you need it towards the platinum because there's a trophy to get all the spells in the game. And you only need 10 human dregs to rank it up and get your spell. So, that being said, it doesn't take very long, and you can easily get human dregs from the deacons in, only the blue deacons count. So not the red ones that you see in the Cathedral of the Deep. The blue ones that you see later in the game. So there's two areas where you can farm these guys. You can either farm them where you're seeing me do it here, which is right before Anne Orlando. It's right after the Pontiff Sullivan boss battle. You can farm them right here on this ledge. There's a crap ton of them, as you can see. Or you can kill the small group of them in front of Aldrich, the boss. So when you enter Anne Orlando Castle, there's a few just before the Aldrich boss fight, and you can farm them as well. They have a chance of dropping human dregs, and they have a pretty decent chance of dropping them as well. It doesn't take very long at all to get 10 human dregs. I got them within like 20 minutes. So as long as you're using the drop rate build, you shouldn't have a hard time, and you can get that one last spell that you're needing. Now, the next covenant we're going to be talking about is the Moundmakers. And the reason why the Moundmakers are important is because you need to get it to rank 3 via 30 vertebra shackles, which is the covenant item that you need to upgrade the covenant. You need to give this covenant 30 to hit it to rank 3 so that you can get the Pyromancy Warmth, which is most likely going to be the last one you need in the game, as it was for me. But what I did, and I highly recommend you guys do the same thing, is I actually got a friend to help me out with this one. What I did was I kept placing my soul sign with the red invasion stone, but if you're in the Moundmakers Covenant, you're a mad phantom, so you'll be purple instead of red. And what this means is it's associated with the Moundmakers Covenant, so when you're a purple phantom, you get vertebra shackles as opposed to pale tongues, which is the default item you get when you usually invade. Now, as I said, a friend helped me out with this one, and huge shout out to Cassiade, or Cassiade. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He's a friend of mine. He's a fellow sub, and he actually really helped me out with the platinum in general. He helped me farm all 30 vertebra shackles by just summoning me to his world and killing himself over and over until I got 30, which is a very easy way to get this out of the way. And I highly recommend you guys do the same if you have a good friend who's willing to do this for you. I highly recommend exploiting it because it's a really easy way to get this done. 30 vertebra shackles takes a long-ass time. It's pretty much the equivalent of the Proof of Concord caps. And if you guys can't do this, though, if you don't have access to a friend who's willing to help you out with this, what you can do is you can farm the Shodel-wielding skeletons in the Catacombs of Carthus. You can find them in other levels too, but they're mostly here. There's a bunch of them in this level. And if you just farm these guys, they're all over the place in this level. They have a rare drop, like a rare chance of dropping vertebra shackles. So that's the alternate way to get it if you don't have someone who's willing to help you out with it this way. But again, huge shout out to Cassiade. Not only did he help me with the vertebra shackles, but he also dropped for me a bunch of the rings that I needed from the covenants. For example, I didn't have to farm the 30 swordblade grass to get the wolf ring from the Faeren wolf covenant. He just gave me a bunch of the rings I was missing from his character. What he did was he backed up the file, gave me all his shit, and then reloaded his file. So he got to keep all his shit, plus I got it too. So it really helped me out. And huge thanks to him. So this is a huge shout out to him. Like, he got my platinum for me a lot faster than it would have taken me to do this all by myself. So huge shout out. This platinum took a long time as it is, and he really cut the timer back for me. So that was really cool. And I highly recommend you guys do it the same way. So that's the Moundmaker Covenant. Now, there's only 2 more covenants that I haven't covered that are relevant to the platinum. And that's the Faeren Wolf Covenant and Rosarias Fingers. Now, both of these covenants need to be ranked up. Rosaria's Fingers Covenant needs to be put to rank 1, which means you need 10 Pale Tongues in order to get the Obscuring Ring. That's the rank 1 reward. And for the Faeren Wolf Covenant, you need 30 Swordblade Grass to get it to rank 3. So that's going to be the much longer of the two, and that will net you the Wolf Ring. Now, for the... I highly recommend playing online and invading people, especially when doing Rosaria's Fingers to get the Pale Tongues, because the Pale Tongues are pretty easy to get, and especially if you do this as early as possible. I'm talking like right out of the gate as soon as you start the game. You should be invading people, because people playing at the start of the game, it's just logical for them to be less skilled than other people in later levels, because chances are you're going to get people who are less experienced at the beginning of the game, because there's a high chance a lot of people at the beginning of the game just started for the first time. So getting the Pale Tongues is pretty easy, and you only need 10 of them. You know, and there's a few that you could loot in-game as well, so the Pale Tongues are very easy to get. So Rosaria's Fingers shouldn't be too much trouble, but you can farm them off of the Dark Wraith enemies, and they can be found in a multitude of areas. They're actually in several different areas in the game, but majority of them can be found in Faeren Keep, along with the Gru enemies. And the Gru enemies are important because they have a chance of dropping Swordblade Grass, and they are also all over this level in Faeren Keep. So you could be working towards both of these trophies at the same time if you're doing the offline way, and that's a very convenient way to do it. Or again, you could use the multiplayer method to get the Swordblade Grass, but this is the offline way to do it, and luckily I didn't have to do this because my friend dropped the rings for me. So that was pretty cool, but that's how you get those. Now, because I missed it, the next thing we're going to cover, now that we've talked about all the covenants, is Sirris of the Sunless Realms side quest. Now, the first time you can talk to her, as you're seeing me do now, this is the first time you meet her, is after you talk to Anri for the first time, and you meet her at the Road of Sacrifice. So that's when you can first talk to Sirris. She'll appear in Firelink after you talk to Anri for the first time. Now, to be able to talk to Sirris again, you won't be able to until you get to Faeren Keep, at the latest. And what you're going to want to do is come over here, break this invisible wall, and pick up the Dream Chaser's Ashes. Now, these are important because you have to go back to Firelink Shrine and give them to the Handmaiden, as you can imagine. Now, once you do this, this triggers Sirris' next appearance in Firelink Shrine. Now that you've given these to her, Sirris will come to Firelink. So, what you'll have to do, though, tediously enough, is leave Firelink and then come back. She won't be here unless you do that. So once you come back, you can talk to her for a second time, and she'll give you a unique gesture, which I've actually shown in a previous episode, but I didn't finish her whole side quest, so this will be showing all of it. Now, after you do that, the next time you'll be able to talk to her is in the Ethereal Valley, as you can see. Now, once you get to this point, what you're going to want to do is run away from the dog. You're not going to want to fight him. I totally lied. You're actually going to want to kill him. But, yeah, so as soon as you get to this bridge, you're going to want to kill this mauve. Reason being is because you need her soul sign to appear here, and it won't unless you kill this guy. So I did that pretty easily enough. And after you've done that, you're going to want to run over to the next bonfire, light it, and then just simply teleport back here through the bonfire. And then what will happen next is you'll find her soul sign on this bridge. And then you can summon, or, I mean, rather, you don't summon her, she summons you into her level. And then you'll be back on that bridge accompanied by her, and you'll have to fight off an invader who's actually a familiar face from Dark Souls 2, Kraton the Wanderer. And he's actually pretty tough, surprisingly. I wasn't expecting him to give me as hard a time as he did, and it was pretty unexpected, but yeah, I actually had a bit of trouble with him. But Once he runs out of flasks, there's not much he can do. And yes, he can run out of flasks, so don't worry about whenever he gets away from you and heals, or you run out of stamina and he has time to heal. Don't worry too much about it, because once he runs out of flasks, there's not much he can do. And the main focus here is to not let Sirris die. That's probably the worst thing that can happen, because if Creighton kills her, I would imagine the whole side quest is screwed. I don't know that for sure. I don't know that 100%, but I would imagine it would fuck the whole thing. So it might even be in your best interest to make a backup save before this fight, because once you finish this fight and help her kill Creighton, that's how you get the Silver Cat Ring, which you can only get from Sirris, and that's how you get it. Now, fun fact, what I think I'm actually going to do is, I didn't think covering all the Covenant stuff would take as long as it did, and I think I'm actually going to be ending this video with Sirris' side quest, just to end off the video with that, get it out of the way, and then devote an entire next part to getting all the rings, because I've actually already platinumed the game. I'm recording this after the fact, and I have all the footage of me getting every ring in New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus, but you know, I don't want to put half of it in this video and then have the next video be shorter because I did that. I'm actually just going to put all the rings in one video, and I think that would make more sense. So that's what I'm going to do. So this part won't be 30 minutes. It'll be a little shorter than usual, but I don't have enough content to fully fill out the video. The next one will most likely be 30 minutes. It might even be a little longer because it takes a while to get all the rings, but that's probably what I'm going to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part. I hope it was really helpful. Now that you've killed Creighton, what you're going to want to do is go back to Firelink Shrine, and Sirris will be there, and you can talk to her, and she'll give you the Silver Cat Ring. So that's one of the rings I missed. Sirris' side quest actually goes on longer than this, but this is all you need to do trophy-wise, because once she gives you the Silver Cat Ring, you don't need anything else from her, and that's why I'm cutting it here. There's actually more to her quest. If you want to do the rest, you can, but this is all you have to do for the trophy, so that's all I showed. I didn't cover Havel's ring because I pretty much already told you guys how to get it, and I already have it. Just kill the stray demon the second time once you get to Faeren Keep, and use his soul to make Havel's ring. It's pretty simple. Since I've already shown me killing the stray demon in a previous part, I don't need to show it again. So that's how you get that. The next episode will be all rings only. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will definitely see you guys in the next one. So take care now.